Okay, here is a recap involving the ticker MBOT. The purpose of this recap is to review how the trade went and how the trade could have gone, trying to also understand how Trade Ideas scanner affects your choice, along with Benzinga Pro, which I am currently evaluating. This is actually a paper trading account with CMEG. Let's see if there's a picture of it. Oh yeah. Well, anyway. So the question I have is how to get in safely early on when there's news. So I'm going to basically show you how the various scanners behave. And my question is when did this stock first appear on the scanner? And I have basically found that it appeared. Here is a, well, let's look at the pre-market. That is the particular window I want to see. Pre-market movers, there you go. Let's have a quick peek. And down here, we're looking at 6:43 a.m. I think I had set the time to be from this morning until now. Looking at pre-market movers for this MBOT. It shows up here at 7:12 a.m. Interesting. 7:11. So let's look at the chart. 7:11. Get a nice close peek at this. 7:11. Look at the numbers down here. 7:11. We're going to put a vertical line. Alt V. 7:11. All right. So at this point, it appeared on the pre-market movers scanner. Okay, and then the gapper scanner. Let's see. This one doesn't have the date as it appeared. Okay. All right. So what I find very, very interesting is Benzinga. So Benzinga. Let's look at the very beginning of the morning, and at 7 o'clock pre-market opens. And although I'm not going to focus on these right here, I want to just take a look and pretend that I'm looking at these early morning movers and what news may be involved. So let's take a look at MBOT, since we know that's our bogey at the moment. So I click on MBOT, the price spiked down, no big deal. But very easily I can then go over here and look at any news that may be involved at this point. So here at 6 a.m. this company has a portfolio allowance of a grant. I suppose a company that receives a grant, or excuse me, a patent, would be a good candidate for a nice pop as far as the price. 6 a.m. So let's look at the chart at 6 a.m. Let's get rid of that little vertical bar. All right, let's just zoom in a little bit. All right, boom, 7:05. We're on a 1 minute chart, right? Yep. So at this point it is 1600. That's the close. I'm showing 7:05. Well, that was the news. Okay, of course, now when the price moved, at 7:01. It spiked. Oh yeah. So oh yeah. So right here, and this timing is kind of throwing me off here. All right. Anyway, that's pretty good news. Now, so you're cruising along. You're saying, ah, it's no big deal. It went down. What the heck? But as you're watching the day progress here at 7:39, wait a minute, 7:39. Here comes MBOT again. New high. Interesting. 739. All right. Take a look at the chart. 739. We're going to put a little vertical bar. 739. Okay. There you go. There you go. So we have the point at which there was a spike noticed from Benzinga. So now you look again. You review the news, and you're saying, patent, all kinds of patent news going on. All right. So that's this point here. Meanwhile, the gap scanner, or excuse me, the pre-market mover showed some action at 7:11. So what you could do at that point is, if you're watching that, is go over to news and punch in MBOT and see what's going on. So we have that portfolio patent notice, and you're watching. Interesting. Spike down, yeah. Shares are trading higher. That's a bit after the fact. Stocks moving in pre-market. MBOT 70% in pre-market. Now that's interesting. That showed up at 7:23. The point of this exercise is to determine if there's a way, an edge, to identify interesting news like patents being granted early on and what stocks will be affected. So again, we're seeing MBOT in play. All right. So the question that comes up is, what indication is there that this may be a mover? Here we have some initial indications. This price is going up. Consolidation a little bit right there, further up. It didn't drop. And I actually began to notice this around this area. And one of my ideas is to do some bottom fishing at this stage. And so I had an order sitting at 361 at this point right here. And I had one at 340 right about here. And interestingly, this candle came down and my order wasn't taken, although I had it in there. And there were enough shares traded at that point, but maybe not at that point, and my order was not filled. But here's the question that begs an answer. If you were to get in, and I actually made an order around here, but the idea is to get in when there's some evidence of support, and obviously there's going to be some risk of some dippage going down, and so there is some volatility. I suppose that if there's evidence of good news like that, you could be looking for some bottom fishing opportunities. There's always a risk it's going to just crash and burn, obviously. All right. So supposing, and then again, the gap scanners. I mean, this stock was just on the top of the list at the market when the market first opened. Not this scanner, but the scanner here. This guy was top of the list all morning. In fact, many traders were looking at that. So with that being the case, there's a question of whether or not other traders will also see a similar opportunity to trade this. Okay, so I'm just imagining that you got in around here. You could have gotten in right here. You could have gotten in right here on this. You could have had a couple of orders sitting down here in case it popped down, which seems to happen. So here's the open right here with this gray areas pre-market. Here's the open. I would have gotten in somewhere around here. Let's say I actually did take an order of around 2,000 shares in pre-market. I had an order for 500 and 500. Okay, so now here's what happens. The market opens right here. Here's the market open right here. It was going up. It dumped down to where? It dumped down to around this level here. Okay. Now if you had purchased right here, obviously it's better to get in down here because you have a lot of wiggle room. But you have to be prepared for it to come down and perhaps test this level here. I actually have a stop loss. It would not be in concrete per se, but you know, below this low right here. And sure enough, it survived that. Okay, so now once you survive the open and there's some momentum building, now you have some options here. Now I think Ross traded this and he got a pop on this and got out when it came down, and that was it for that trade. But of interest, if this truly has momentum and you're in pre-market early, you have the luxury of then trailing this puppy on up the EMAs. So I've got an 8 and a 20 and a 50. So obviously as it's going up, there's going to be some occasions where it's going to come back and test various levels like this. It bounced. That's nice. It comes back down and didn't reach that level. That's good. Showing some strength. Comes down again. It didn't reach that level. It's continuing higher. It broke this level. It's continuing higher. Now you're starting to wonder, where can this go? Well, it's going to try to go down. So of interest is when this thing came down here, where did it come down to? Right about there. Let's stretch this out a little bit. Easier on the eyes. Alright. So it's coming right along here. Came down. So the question at this point is, how long do you stay in? Now it broke below this EMA. The question though is, did it show any indication of continuation, which it didn't. So you can continue to trail it higher. It broke below the EMA again, and you're looking for some evidence or reason for it to continue, and it does. Now at this point, this is where it starts getting really volatile, and many perhaps might be shorting it. Let's just draw an example of a trend line. We'll just do this like this. Alright. So you could argue that when this broke down and then furthermore broke this level here, just go ahead and get out. Or maybe even around here. Or maybe even take a portion of your position off the trade. Okay. But either way, alright, so if you were in the trade and following, you could be in the trade for somewhere around, let's just say around here. So you have a $3.63 gain, and the market's still open. You can still see it's moving, but that would be a fair gain for the day on that trade. So the moral of the story is, if there is news of substance, like for example a company being granted a patent, seems like a nice opportunity to get in, and then be prepared to ride out the volatile open and allow it to come down to a low. Early morning there might be some bottom fishing opportunities, I was not filled. I took 2,000 here. I could have had another 1,000. 3,000 shares times 36 or 363. See, that would be 3,000 times 3.63. That's a nice 10,890 gain. Obviously, it's hindsight is 2020, but the idea here is to first of all look at a strategy, and the part that has me curious is to watch the news. Let's just go to the news in general and not have any keywords at all. Okay, so let's just pretend that we're here at the open. Let's see here, let's see what's happening. It's got a lot of news. Let's see if I can get down to the open. It's just a lot of having to load up that list pretty seriously. I wanted to get to the open and see how it looks at the very open. There's just too many entries. This might be, it's choking. The idea is to go to the 9 a.m. Well, there might be a way to, obviously a way to screen or filter this, but and then likewise with signals, you can filter on lows and highs, opening gaps, price spikes, and then show up in the morning bright and early at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and just kind of nose around and perhaps even have an audible signal, which, let's just do that. I'm going to just go ahead and turn this on and turn on a synthesized voice. Okay. Alright, perhaps we'll hear something. Okay, so you're sitting there with your cup of coffee, and let's see if we hear something. But what's curious to me is to be able to look at these initial signals and see if there's any merit. There might be obviously a lot of noise from issues that aren't really relevant or not within your trading range or your price range or the kind of stocks that you trade, whatever. But in conjunction with trade ideas, it might be of interest to go over here and see, wow, patent. Perhaps you can even go to news, patent. Did I spell that? Patent. Let's see. That might be a way to filter. Look for patents. Okay, so here we have one at 744.
New high of 8.63. New high of 8.65. New high of 8.64. New high of 8.66. New high of 8.67. New high of 8.68.
What's going on with this one?
New high of 8.71. New high of 8.7. New high of 8.69. New high of 8.72.
Well, this thing is actually moving, but the point of this is to basically see, and then this is actually not new news here, but for whatever reason this is popping up, and that could be a bit annoying, but you could perhaps filter for the pre-morning, so that would mean the well, anyway, that's how you can turn on notifications. This is my last day to evaluate.
New high of 1,690.95. New high of 1,690.93. New high of 1,691.04. New high of 1,691.09. New high of 1,691.79. New high of 1,691.85. New high of 1,691.86. Price spike up pen. MBOT.
Actually, turning on some filters that would, if you're doing small caps, penny stocks, whatever, this might be a way to put a filter on here, which I really haven't done. Okay, so MBOT continues to crank. See, this is the reason why you have to be patient with regard to how far it comes back down, especially when it comes this high up. It's going to have a serious pullback, but now we're reaching higher highs. Obviously, in hindsight, but let's see where we're at right now. $4.50. Now, always the question is how far do you stay in the trade? That is the question. Okay. All right. So that is the recap, and I'm liking what I see with Benzinga, and perhaps there might be some opportunities to get in early on some good news and get some good trades. Hope you enjoyed.